Race number 7 of the Area Truck Series season means a trip to one of the fiercest ovals on the calendar. It's throwback night, which means the field is headed to a classic track with classic paint schemes and the age-old challenge of keeping the right side of your race machine as pristine as the left. 120 laps is the race distance tonight as we tackle Darlington, the track too tough to tame. The Lady in Black is back. Welcome to Darlington Speedway. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn. Connor, welcome back to the 7th round of the season and to this egg-shaped 1.36 mile racetrack, which is known across the calendar as one of the most tricky. And tonight we race for 120 times around. Yeah,
tricky is definitely one word to describe it. You also described the triangle in Pocono as that, but I think it fits this track a lot more, to be completely honest with you. It's probably the hardest track I've ever driven in iRacing oval-wise. It is so tough to get all 4 corners right, because all 4 corners are almost completely different. Very difficult to go into the corners by yourself, let alone with other competitors. So not only is the race going to be a challenge, but also getting a good, fast qualifying time down is going to be a challenge in itself.
Yeah, Darlington, South Carolina, population 6,200. This racetrack built all the way back in 1950. It's seen a couple changes since then, but it is still one of the most classic racetracks on the calendar. 1.36 miles, 4 corners, 2 of which are a lot tighter than the others. And the neighbor owned a minnow pond that forced the track to be constructed into an egg shape because he refused to move his land. And that's why one end of the track is tighter than the other. Here's a look at the standings coming into the night. James Scioli locked at the top of the standings into the playoffs. Same with Anna Sogak-Beckner, Ricky Hardin, and Cameron Hearn. But that cut line, David Weishart, Garrett Grant, Eric Wineland, they're all fighting for a chance to fight for a championship this year.
Yeah, and all of them need to fight a little bit harder, especially coming into a race like tonight. It could be a big separation point, because this is a track that will really separate the fast drivers from the ones that might struggle a little bit. So we'll see if that cut line gets bigger tonight. Tom Bourne, notably, only 2 points back of Scioli in the points, but you see it's a big difference between being the top of the board and 6th on the board. Still well and clear by almost 60 points, but you can always do better, and a win solves almost all of those doubts about points. As got a number of fast drivers below the cut line still.
Well, let's head down to the racetrack. Practice is still underway as we head into this 7th round of the season. And on top of the standings and on top of the pylon is James Scioli in the RicksHotSauce.com Chevrolet Silverado, fastest so far here in practice. Well, we've got some moments here, Connor. It's throwback night. Let's step through the field and see what we've got running. Alan Elwood in the number 10 running a very familiar livery. This one a couple of decades old by this point.
Yeah, I suppose about 17, 18 years back to a Casey Kane throwback, although he's got the Everham 10, so no Scott Riggs. It is a Casey Kane throwback. He had so many good runs in that car. I remember, unfortunately, the one I remember the most is when he blew a tire while leading at Charlotte.
And here's David Weishart. This one's an obvious one. This is Kevin Harvick with that old 29 silver and black livery that we've seen so many times over the years. He's 3rd in practice right now, Connor, as we step on back. How about Brad Slaughter? This is a Bill Lester throwback. This is a Truck Series specific one.
Yeah, Truck Series specific. I wouldn't know if iconic's the right word, but definitely one of the most recognizable trucks. And funny enough, it's Dodge red, because Bill Lester did drive a Dodge, but unfortunately you don't do that anymore, but still looks nice on a Chevy.
And Cameron Hearn not participating in the festivities tonight, but one driver that is, Justin Munsell. He's got a livery or a paint scheme that lives up to the history here. This is a Kurt Busch Sharpie version here.
Yeah, the only issue is it's on the Toyota, but I don't really pay attention to too much of that. As you can see, it's beautiful. Funny, he's got the Kurt Busch livery with the Mark Martin type number 6 in a Toyota TRD Tundra, but it still looks so sharp.
And Dustin Scruggs with the Ward Burton throwback in the number 22 Caterpillar truck.
And look at the wheels, too. I don't think that was... They might have been red back then, but it does look so sharp as the sun sets here at Darlington. Looks pretty sporty. A 2002 Daytona 500 winning scheme.
And this one, I think you recalled this one, Connor. This is a bit too obscure for me to know.
Luckily we have the paint channel for me to look through while we were trying to figure it out. It's a Ryan Sieg throwback. Ryan Sieg used to run the Truck Series, obviously that family operation, up to the Xfinity Series now, but this is a throwback 11 years ago to when it rode at Homestead. That's an iconic finish because it was Cale Gale and Kyle Busch at the finish, although Ryan Sieg wasn't up at the front for that one.
And the old Citgo colors. Haven't seen these in quite some time here in NASCAR, but Eric Wineland running the number 21. And Travis Beckner, he's got a throwback to way back in the day, probably around the time that this racetrack was constructed back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He's got the cubic inches, the displacement on the hood. I love that.
Yeah, it is sporty. It's a throwback to his grandfather, I believe he said. So a special one for him, and he hopes to put it up towards the front. But I think turn 2 might have something to say about that, as that's going to be the trouble spot we talk about later.
And Greg Biffle on the number 16 at Tom Bourne. Probably could have guessed that with the number font he typically runs. So he'll be joining us in that number 16 post-it throwback. Here's Swerve and Irvin, and this one, I believe this is a Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback, Connor, or maybe this is even Ralph Earnhardt.
I think it's Dale Sr. I think he ran that, I believe, in the All-Star race. I could be wrong, but definitely a senior throwback. One we saw last night on the car of Ryan Hart's. Not the same scheme, but obviously Dale Sr. scheme still recognizable.
And there's Devin Schillingberg with an Allison throwback, Connor. I always love these colors. I've seen this paint scheme in GLTC even. It's so beloved across the motorsports world.
It takes a special paint scheme to bridge the motorsports gap like that. You can see it in any... If you see a paint scheme come from NASCAR into a separate form of racing or vice versa, you know it's a special scheme.
Brian Swan's got a similar Mopar-looking scheme on his Chevrolet tonight, and Bronson Stafford running some old colors as well. Let's get through the rest of them here before we tick on over to qualifying Ted Wade. AJ Roderick with the number 56, but I have to believe this is a Waltrip throwback.
Could be a Waltrip throwback, also could be a Ron Hornaday throwback, not completely sure, but it's funny because we talked about it before we went live. With number 56, people might think it's a Truex throwback, but not the case.
One of my favorite paint schemes of the mid-2000s, the Dodge Evernham mixture. They had Elliott Sadler had one of these, and then Casey Kane had one of these. Can't remember whose was whose, but Waterworth running the number 12 with those colors tonight. Ricky Harden, the number 15, and down the rest of the list here. Carlos Canita, there's the number 43 we know and love. 52, that is an old Busch Series scheme, I believe. And then down the rest of the list here as practice comes to a close.
Yeah, number of schemes up there. I think Logan Hartman, that's his normal scheme, but with a throwback look. Shane Therian not participating, but another driver with a lot of speed. He might be able to throw back to a time when he was up at the front because he's had a few rough patches so far.
Well, it's time to qualify, Connor. 120 laps tonight here at Darlington. I always think qualifying is important here. Track position is crucial. We've seen some big wrecks happen here in years past, especially on restarts. But the trucks, they can be challenging in their own right here. We've seen this season a lot of yellow flags, and tonight, this is one of those nights where you're going to self-inflict a lot of your own damage, most likely.
Yeah, no doubt about it. These trucks kind of give everyone a false sense of hope with the amount of downforce they have, where you can go, people might think you can go side by side in majority of the turns, but that's really just not the case. These trucks are still so on edge and pretty loose in the rear end, I believe, especially on the short run with cold tires. So it's going to be very difficult to get through a restart here because you got to kind of funnel into one lane before you get to turn 1, but that's obviously not possible. So you're going to have to be very, very cautious on the throttle and very aware of what's in your windshield on the initial start. But if you don't want to have to deal with all that, you get a good qualifying time down. You got to be careful off of turn 2.
Yeah, AJ Roderick, big moment there, leaving the second corner, now into the third, where the track tightens up a pretty good amount, and then you're going to throttle back up and come off of turn number 4. Do this lap in about 29 seconds. What will Roderick do this time around? 29.615. He's the first driver up on the timing and scoring as Dean Thompson warms up. Garrett Grant's come across the line. Dean Thompson's in the wall on his warm-up, so he'll have to try again. Remember, just one lap to do it all here, so you really have to get it right the first time.
Yeah, no mistakes. You make a mistake, you're pretty much done for, and you could put yourself to the back. I made a mistake last night, and it got me in trouble early. Luckily, I was able to recover, but it's not going to be as easy in a truck with the damage model the way it is, so you have to be on your game.
Michael Curhan to the number 24. He's working his way up to speed here as Justin Anisogak goes to the top at a 29.391. Here's the 24. That's right on board.
Had a great battle with him last night, and luckily it ended up in my favor, but it was very, very tight. Tight racing in a cup car, and you're going to see the same thing in a truck tonight, just at a little bit lower speed. As you can see him kind of weaving a little bit down the back straightaway, runs that top line to get the run out of turn 4 to get, you go as fast as possible into turn number 1. Don't want to hit that apron in turn 1. It's so tempting, but you can't do it. Got to keep speed here, all the way at the top up here through the middle of 1 and 2, and then cut it back down just at the perfect moment. And
the weekly message from Michael Curhan. We'll read this because it's a little small, maybe on the 1080p live stream. Brad Slaughter Jr. last week gets Twitter famous at North Wilkesboro and gets engaged. What have you done lately? Congrats, Brad. Yeah, that was funny. I remember I saw it on Twitter. I was like, wait a minute, I think I've seen him. But sure enough, he was on the official Twitter as Curhan goes third, putting that message to good use as he'll be up near the front most likely
for this race as we go look at Cameron Hearn coming out of turn number 4. One driver who's been on a tear lately. He won 3 of the last 5, I believe. So he's looking good right now.
And off into turn number 1, goes right up to the outside wall. You have to carry so much speed here. Get close to the outside edge, and then you're going to exit this corner low just to leave yourself a little room right there as you drift up the racetrack. It is a really high commitment track, especially in turns 1 and 2. And in 3 and 4, you kind of run typically a slightly lower line, but you find speed here in such unique ways. But if you get it wrong, it just feels so bad.
Yeah, you know when you mess up. That bottom line, if you miss it in 3 and 4 especially, you'll know. But especially exit of turn 2, I think, is where you're at risk to lose a lot of time. Potentially your truck as hard and gets close to the wall as well. I think turns 1 and 2 is where you're going to lose and gain the most time, because if you miss the fine line you have to run, you're going to be going way, way back, and also going too wide through there. If you even try that, you're going to lose a lot of time. As Harden might have tapped it there. Not sure if the lap's going to count. He got very close to it. I think it did, though.
29.660 puts him 6th quick here on the timing and scoring as Justin Michael goes to the top at a 29.339. That's a thousandth of a second better than Cameron Hearn, so that's the best time on the board right now. Dane Therian on track here. He comes across the line, the number 83, 29.529. Slots him 6th quick as Mason Kane and others come across the stripe.
Philip York at 29.693 puts him 10th. Mason Kane goes 5th with a 29.439. Gary Waterworth, that might be my winner. It is a good paint scheme, but he ran a 29.745, which put him 12th. And Justin Michael he's already on pole. He's running laps. Devin Schillingberg is on his hot lap.
Such a critical corner exit here to get that run down the back straightaway, and then into turn number 3 where you have to woe this thing down a little bit. And maybe the next gen cars, maybe you were downshifting here, Connor, or then late in the run, but here all 4th gear all the time.
I think there were people shifting last night. I wasn't one of those, but it was an option. No option tonight whatsoever. You just got to be focused on the task at hand, focused on the track, and don't even look at that shifter after the restarts and initial start.
Here comes Ryan Swan, the number 1 down the back straightaway. Looking good in the Opar truck, or I should say the Blair truck, into turn number 3 and 4, running a little higher line than we saw some drivers running in this corner. Across the stripe, 29.791. That will put him in 14th place. Here's Travis Beckner in the 28, running that family livery, as you mentioned, the family throwback. I got to get the word livery out of my head, my road racing world. Safety car and livery and all the other road racing words that are illegal here.
Don't think we're going to have blue flags in order tonight, but You just never know. They do use it, but I don't think we'll see it tonight. We'll have to wait and see, though. Beckner across the line, fast lap, puts him P6 on the board.
Brad Slaughter Jr. up to 10th, and David Weishart is just getting rolling now. So is that of Alan Elwood. Joseph R. Jones already on a quick lap, though. Here he comes into turn 3.
Don't know if there's a throwback we mentioned. It's a Tim Fedewa throwback. If you ever saw the number 12, this is the Hot Tamale car, I believe, in the early to mid 2000s. He ran. Now is the spotter of Kevin Harvick, so it's a throwback to him. Jones comes across the line. That lap will not count, so you will not get a time down.
Well, David Weishart was on a warm-up lap. He bailed out of it. That leaves now Alan Elwood as a driver that's on a hot lap. We're about to begin.
He's going to begin one, just barely clips that dotted line, the apron with the left sides. It's okay if you don't hit it too hard and you do not want to hit it in turn 2, really close to the wall. If you hit the apron out of 2, you're pretty much done for and you're into the outside wall. You can get away with it in turn 1, not turn 2. And
to the bottom of the racetrack goes Alan Elwood in 3 and 4 as Weishart works his way back up to speed. And across the stripe for Alan Elwood, where will it be? Needs a 29.339 to go fastest. Does a 29.399. That will put him 4th quick. That's not a bad lap at all.
No, really solid lap. As you can see, more drivers kind of going out at this point when track may be a little bit cooler, so a lot more drivers are going to try to go out later. I did that last night, but it bit me, so you got to make sure you can at least get a time down as Weishart's clean into turn number 3.
Good strong lap so far for the 29. What will it do out of 4? Again, needs a 29.339. It's a 29.265. Wow. Pole for the 29 of David Weishart.
And that's going to be hard to beat. Wow, that was a absolutely absolute flyer of a lap. We'll see if anyone can touch that, but it is ways away from Justin Michael, who's now P2, as we see Eric Wineland, the throwback, is that a Rusty Wallace hat on for tonight? Looking sharp as he comes across the line. Where does that put him?
This is just kicking off his first
warm-up. That's correct, though, right? Rusty Wallace?
You would know better than I, Connor, I'm going to be honest.
All right. I believe. I got confidence. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. See what he does through 1 and 2 here. Like a clean 1 and 2.
And live timing and scoring, if you'd like to follow along, is available at simtvbroadcasting.com. Please use the website. I paid $179 to renew it for the year. So here comes Wineland, 29.432, goes 9th quick.
That is a very solid lap, but how close the competition is, it does only put him 6th, and he's not even too far behind Alan Elwood and Justin Sogak for try to get on another row. So really close, but James Scioli's on track, Justin Munsel's on track, a lot of heavy hitters going out with only a minute to go.
And Bronson Stafford up to 10th, Justin Munsell at 29.518 goes 14th quick. And here comes James Scioli, points leader, out of turn number 4, and he was quickest in practice. Will he be quickest in qualifying as well? 29.247, wow. Top of the board for the number 7.
Yeah, that's why he's the points leader. It wasn't by much, but that's going to pay huge dividends for the beginning of this race to have clean track into turn number 1.
And with that, he will slow down and grind to a halt here, as Danny Ware is still working over some practice laps, but the sun is setting here at Darlington Raceway, and 1.36 miles, pit window about 50 laps. We're going to go 120. And predictions for tonight, Connor, we've got a 35 or 36 truck grid. How green do we go tonight is the question.
I think we go pretty green. As weird as Darlington is, I think we are going to see incidents. But the thing about Darlington on iRacing specifically is that a lot of tracks, especially the newer updated tracks, where if there's a spin anywhere on track, the yellow is going to get thrown. But as we saw at Michigan, as we're going to see tonight here, if you're not on the racing surface, it's not going to bring out a yellow, and it's tough to bring out a yellow at Darlington because it's really only 2 grooves as it is. So you better wreck on track if you're going to wreck anywhere, because you can see the backstretch view on our camera. If you are under that dotted line or where it would be down the back, you're not going to get a yellow.
Yeah, and really, my favorite factoid about Darlington Raceway, and I almost didn't believe it when I first heard it, is that this racetrack was designed with the intention of running below that dotted line. The banking, the extra banking and everything above that line was supposed to be runoff area before you got to the wall, so that you'd have basically an escape road. But the drivers very quickly figured out that if you run in the runoff, you go a little quicker. It's almost like reverse Circuit of the Americas. You go a little bit further off course, the faster you're going to go, and they just kept creeping up and up and up and up, and then pretty soon they're running up against the wall, and that's why the racing line is so narrow. It wasn't designed to be that way. It was designed to be able to catch your car if you went a little wide, but now there is no room to catch your slide, and that is just how it is.
Yeah, and you think they were running the wall back then when they discovered it. Then you get someone like Kyle Larson or Tyler Reddick who literally basically scrapes the wall every lap. It is absolutely wild how we've seen this track and how drivers drive it kind of develop over the years, especially not only in turns 3 and 4 with how close everyone gets to the wall, but turns 1 and 2, you're starting to see a high line come into the Hamlin line is what I think I would call it. Even Larson was doing it when I was there at Darlington, but there are so many different lines you can choose from entering through center and exit, and it's kind of weird because it is barely a 2-groove track, but people make any sort of groove work.
Well, before we get rolling here, race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Let's get through our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. Starting lineup here for this one. James Scioli in the number 7. David Weishart in his number 29 Chevrolet rolls off in second.
Nearly identical laps on the second row. Justin Michael in the 87 and Cameron Hurd in the number 4.
And row number 3, it's Justin Sogak in the number 88. Alan Elwood starts 6th in the number 10.
Our guy Eric Wineland starting P7 with a 29.431. Alongside him, the 42 of Garrett Grant.
Ninth place is Mason Kane in the number 31 machine. Travis Beckner shares row number 5 and his number 28.
Row number 6, a Matt Kenseth throwback for the number 61 of Bronson Stafford. He'll be starting alongside Ted Wade, who he did run an identical lap with.
Row 7 in 13th place is Michael Curhan in the number 24 truck. Then Tom Borden starts 14th in the number 16 Toyota Tundra.
Row number 8, another throwback, a Kurt Busch one for Justin Munsell. Alongside him, the number 83, Shane Therian.
And in 17th place is Devin Schillingberg in the number 9 Chevy Silverado. Bryce Senesac alongside him in 18th.
Brad Slaughter Jr., the Truck Series champion, starting 19th place in his Bill Lester throwback, and he's alongside A.J. Roderick.
And starting in 21st, it's Ricky Harden in the number 15. Philip York, the 97, rolls off 22nd.
Glenn Harrison will be starting 23rd place tonight alongside him. Another popular throwback to Casey Kane, Gary Waterworth.
And in 25th place, how about Ryan Swan in the number 1? Dean Thompson starts 26th in the number 5 truck. And hey, the lights turned on, the sun turned off. We're going racing in the nighttime, Connor.
That's what we like to see, no doubt about it. Dean Thompson, that's a throwback to Red Horse Racing, and he's starting. That's his throwback that he ran in real life Darlington. Logan Hartman was to start 27th, but it's not loaded in. Danny Ware, however, will start 28th.
29th place is Dustin Scruggs in the number 22. Jacob Bell starts 30th in the number 77.
Then in the back here, Joseph Jones, that Tim Fedua throwback, 31st place, and Swervin' Paul Irvin, you'll be able to recognize that senior throwback coming from 32nd.
33rd place is Charles Canita in the number 43. Carter Coop, 34th in the number 52. Ryan Olson rounds out our starting grid here, Connor. Before we go racing, who you got winning this thing? It's hard to take my eyes off Scioli, the pole sitter, but I think Alan Elwood's going to get it tonight.
I don't want to take the easy pick with Skylerly, but he's been so strong it's hard to bet against him, so I'm going with the 7.
All right, here we go. 120 laps, throwback night from Darlington Raceway. Here we go. The lady in black, the track too tough to tame. Who will tame it after 120 laps at Darlington? Lap 1 complete, and we cross the stripe. Everyone pointed the right direction here, Connor. It's Scioli out front.
Yeah, I'm pretty single file all the way through the top 8 in the field. Beckner had a look under Garrett Grant, but couldn't do anything as these truck drivers did a really good job getting things single file early.
A little side-by-side going on in the background. I think one of those trucks is the 5 of Dean Thompson. There's Philip York and the 77 of Jacob Bell, and behind them, the 93 of Joseph R. Jones. And Danny Ware is way up there on the outside trying to make up some ground early.
Trying to make the Highline work at 3 and 4, but with the updates iRacing has done, it kind of taken some grip away from the outside in 3 and 4, and it's made the bottom the dominant line, not only for tire saving, but for speed in general. So it's going to be hard to make something work. There's a little bit of contact, I think, between York and Jones.
Yeah, a little bit of a touch there. It's going to slow the 97 up off the corner, and that will leave him vulnerable to the 49 and now to the 3 of Paul Irvin. And they're going to just drive right by the 97. When it rains, it pours, but the outside lane has some pretty good pace up there already as York tries to fight back, just doesn't have the pace to do it here. And here's some side-by-side for 11th. This is Ted Wade and Tom Borden.
Ford being smart, going all 4 tires under the apron. Oh, spin in the background. Someone's in the wall. Couldn't see who that was. I think it was a 66. Blaine Harrison got a little bit of a tap. It's not over yet. Got to be careful off the exit of 2.
Everyone fans out. Drivers want positions. And they will not be able to sort it out entirely just yet. Let's quickly go back and have a look at what happened to the number 66. They headed down into the corner, and real close to the wall on the front straight here.
See here, looks like he looks like he missed the entrance to 1, and Waterworth could not check up in time.
Yep. Kept it going the right direction though as we get back live. No changes up front, but there is a battle for 6th. It's Anna Sogak versus Wineland.
Wineland making good inroads. Well, I say good inroads, but he has not moved since the start, but getting good pressure on the back bumper of the Daytona winner and the Sogak, but he's trying to put pressure on Alan Elwood for the time being. He's dropped off Justin Michael just a little bit from the start of this one.
A lot of on-throttle time here in 1 and 2. It's such a fast corner. You have to lift a little bit towards the exit, and then you're back on power down the back straightaway, then into turn 3. We're on the brakes a little bit more. And good speed here that Wineland's got. He is closing in on Anisogak, but where do you go? It's so hard to pass here.
Yeah, so hard to pass here. You really have to be alongside someone completely into turn number 1 for them to even consider either giving you the spot or you just not even backing out. If you are only on someone's door into the corner, you probably should back out whether you're inside or outside. Too wide into turn number 1 almost never works.
And a couple little packs beginning to formulate, but James Scioli's out front with a pretty commanding half a second lead already.
Yeah, trying to get chased down by Weishart, who was the winner last season. He's trying to duplicate that. It was an absolutely wild finish last year. We'll see if we get that tonight, as Wineland still working over the back bumper of Anisogak for 6th, but just doesn't have anything going for him, as Michael Curran, Bronson Stafford, a little almost side-by-side action in the 1. Curran with some front-end damage, but I don't think that's hurting him too much. But Devin Schillenberg to the bottom. Tough place to get side-by-side. Look how much momentum they lose.
Yeah, side-by-side and corner exit here is a death sentence for any pace you had for the back straightaway or the front straightaway. Turn 2 in particular, that's the calamity corner spot for me. And once you hit it, your truck just turns into a magnet and you can't stop hitting it. I've always found if you can make it through about halfway, 3/4 of the race, you generally don't touch anything. But if you hit the wall in the first 15, 20 laps, you just can't not hit it again. It draws you back in. And the 9, big moment there for Schillenberg.
Man. Yeah, that was really close, and once again, the momentum he loses from getting that sideways. Lucky to not hit it hard, but he's in it again. That was a bigger hit that time, and he'll lose even more positions to Munsell and Senesac. But yeah, you hit it once, you're going to hit it over and over again, because once you overstep your boundaries early, it's really hard to get them back under you.
And there already is a Darlington stripe on the side of that number 9. He's still wiggling, not comfortable with that truck at all. As we look elsewhere in the field, Anisogak and Wineland still going at it.
Going at it is right. 88 having some internet issues, but he's still able to hold off the charge from the 21 early. 88 should get the run off the top, plus the draft he has from Alan Elwood is just preventing Wineland from getting enough positioning to make this pass. He's right on the bumper of the 88 going into the quarter, trying to loosen him up just enough to get a run, but nothing yet.
Up onto the back straightaway, a little wiggle there from the 88. This is the opportunity for Wineland to drive up underneath him, and he's got some overlap. Drives in a little deeper than the 88, but Anisogak throttles up mid-corner and will hang on.
Yeah, you'll clear him back here, so I'm sure it's frustrating for Wineland that he can't get by, but you kind of have to get in a rhythm and keep your tires intact as well. We could easily have a long run here that might happen. We saw it last night. It happened to me. The final run of the race went fully green. I drove too hard on the short run, and I was dying as far as the tires went, and they were completely done. So Wineland cannot let that happen to him. As side-by-side in the back, Travis Beckner moves up. Mason Kane just lets him go.
How much do you have to focus here in these races? Because we look at Wineland, and he looks like he is absolutely focused on what he's doing right now. There's some tracks where he can kind of be lighthearted on the radio, joking around, but it feels like Darlington is one of those places where you're just clinging on for dear life and hoping you don't slip.
Whoa, Anisogak just slipped. He hit the wall in the middle of 1 and 2. He saved it, but he's going to lose a lot of time. And the right front's pretty totaled. As we're talking about focus, maybe a lapse of focus here.
Here's a look. Oh, yeah, he hit it pretty hard there, too, right ahead of Eric Wineland. And he stepped out and got it in the rear, then it turned it around to the nose. And that'll mess up the camber and caster and things in the front. And like I said, once you hit it, it's just a death sentence to start hitting it over and over and over again. And so I would not be surprised to see that 88 in the wall some more tonight.
Yeah, hopefully not the case, but it is hard to get that mentality out of your mind, and you have to just get back to focusing. And you're talking about focus. You do have to focus here, I think, more than any other track. It's definitely one where if you cannot be joking on the radio, you can't be talking in Discord. You got to be full silence, not blinking at times, forgetting to take a drink out of your cup aside you. You have to be laser focused at a track like this, especially on the long run when you could easily make a mistake and lose everything.
It's also a place that has pretty high tire degradation. And looking at lap times of your leader right now, best lap of a 29.3, we're already 1.1 seconds off of that in 15 laps. That's pretty severe tire degradation, Connor, over the course of a run. You're going to lose 2, maybe 3 seconds off your best times, and that creates the ability to do overcuts and undercuts to the extreme at a track like this. So if we go green tonight, strategy certainly will play a factor in who comes out on top in this race.
Yeah, we have, I believe, 4 extra tire sets at our disposal. So I believe that's an extra. I don't know if it's an extra from what we normally get, but it's definitely a lot. But it's needed at a track like this because of what you're talking about, the tire degradation. And it's going to come into play, I think, pretty late especially. You need to make sure you have a set of sticker tires for the very end.
And up for third place, Justin Michael, Elwood, Cameron Hearn all swapping positions there for a moment. And a Sogak continuing to drop backwards. This is going to get very tight there with the 6 of Justin Munsell on the bottom of the track.
And Bryce Senesac there as well. He's going to fall backwards at 88. You can tell is struggling. Schillingberg hit the wall hard again as they're 3 wide into turn number 3. Gary Waterworth is going for it early. Not much grip on the apron. He'll slide up, but they made it work somehow.
Yeah, that was really well done. 3 wide into 3 here. You have to sort it out. Someone's got to give. And typically I've seen just the grip levels fall away so much throughout the corner that you can't really sustain 3 wide any way you try it. Someone's going to drop onto the apron, and because there's not as much banking down there, they just kind of understeer into slowing themselves down. So at least that prevents accidents, but I think you see a lot of drivers go in side by side underneath somebody and drift across their nose. Look at this battle here. Stafford, Bourne, and Curhan.
Yeah, this is going to get pretty dicey, I think, in a moment. But yeah, if you're going to do 3 wide anywhere, I suppose turn 3 is really the only place you can even consider it. As here comes Brad Slaughter Jr. Curhan into a wall, trying to give Slaughter Jr. room, but he gave him a bit too much and put himself in the wall. But yeah, definitely you need to be able to sort side by side out early because you can't really do it in corners.
Shane Therian and Gary Waterworth and AJ Roderick battling for about 18th spot, and Danny Ware, Jacob Bell nose to tail for 22nd. Clicking away laps here, Connor. 20 of 120 complete this time by as Eric Wineland gets around Cameron Hearn for 5th.
Yeah, Hearn had I think he actually did get the wall maybe a lap or 2 ago. He had looked to be struggling getting through the center of 1 and 2. I think he just finally gave up the spot to Wineland. So Wineland, as hard as he's fought, he's only gotten up 2 positions, but top 5 is never a bad sign here.
They're having a look at Anna Sogak, who continues to fall with that damage we saw him get in that wall contact a couple of laps ago. And out front, James Scioli continuing to put distance on David Weishart. It's 1.1 seconds now, the differential. And still gaining ground on Weishart, although Justin Michael was a little bit faster than both of them last time by.
Yeah, we'll see what Michael has left in the tank. He hasn't really been pressured at all, and he hasn't really had anyone to pressure. He's kind of just let the top 2 get away from him a little bit. So he has clean air at his disposal, and he doesn't have Alan Elwood on his rear bumper taking air off that spoiler, as Cameron Hearn just let 2 or 3 trucks by that time. He's really struggling with the right front damage. But yeah, see what the 87 has. He's been fast in the races he's done, but he's down in 22nd in points because of the few races he's missed.
Gary Waterworth in this number 12. We've documented him a couple of times, up from 24th into 19th already, and putting some more pressure now on some that have been in the wall. And we're already seeing that once you hit the wall, you just drop like a rock. And it's just because the balance on these cars is so delicate, and Schillingberg looks like he's conceding already with how much damage he's collected on that right front.
Whoa, almost spun in pit entrance, but yeah, it definitely looks like a give-up point, which is a shame. He was still running 25th, but when you got that much damage, especially in a truck, it slows you down aero-wise so much. It makes it handle bad in the corners, and you're so slow down the straightaways that there's almost no coming back from it. Someone's in a wall in 3. I think Mason, couldn't tell if Mason Kane bounced off it, but he got close.
He did just scrape it the slightest bit, Mason Kane did.
Like he got away with it, which is very fortunate because especially when you hit it in the middle of 3 and 4, the wall's not really even, so you kind of slam it even when you're right up against it. You got to be really careful of that. And I think Mason Kane got a little bit of a gift there.
So almost 25 laps into this race so far, and we're spreading the field out a little bit. There are battles beginning to formulate as comers and goers start to come into effect, and this is all happening behind Cameron Hearn and Ted Wade. Wade a little loose out of turn 4, and Stafford look to the right. Here comes Brad Slaughter Jr. down to the bottom.
There are good battles almost everywhere. 2 wide, turn 1. Always look out for that. That is as close as you can get without touching. Matt Kenseth and Bill Lester side by side. Who thought we'd say that? But they're still side by side. And watch the game Tom Bourne gets just because of being side by side out of that corner. Lose all your momentum.
And just behind, Therian and Bryce Senesac into turn 3.
they've kind of been around each other the entire race. Neither driver's moved up too much. Senselak had moved up. Deering actually went backwards a spot or two, but he gets that spot back in the 16th he goes.
And Dean Thompson, Charles Kaneda trading positions. Moved Thompson up to 25th.
Another one who's been in the wall pretty severely.
And here comes Stafford with a big lunge on Cameron Hearn into turn 3.
Yeah, you could tell when you hit the right front into the wall, your handling's gone. Cameron Hearn cannot get through the corner. He is as tight as you can be in a truck without having a tire down, and he's just struggling to keep any sort of speed. Bronson Stafford to the bottom. Oh, they're going to make contact. They somehow didn't wreck it, and look at the stack up this is going to cause.
They're still door-to-door out of turn 2. Someone's got to give. It's the 4, and it will open the door for Brad Slaughter Jr. to drive on by. And here comes Tom Bourne, Michael Curhan, and others. And they're going to drive right into the mix.
Yeah, this is going to be dangerous for Cameron Hearn, especially if the right front wears as bad as it looks, along with the damage. He is going to be in for a rough night until he gets an opportunity to get that at least somewhat fixed. He has lost so many positions from the start of this one, all the way back. I believe he started 4th, and he's all the way back to now 15th.
Yeah, 4th down to 15th. You're right about that. And the bleeding continues. Eric Grant, Travis Beckner, this is for 6th. Good crossover here from the 28. Look at the run he's going to build. Oh, in the wall.
Hit the wall down the straightaway, Garrett Grant did. That's an odd mistake to make. Beckner was just letting him go, actually. But that is
he's in the wall
scenario.
Again. He's in the wall again. Sorry, Connor.
No, you're good. And worst case scenario for Beckner, he just let a guy by because he chased you down, and he hits the wall twice, and you lose all that time thinking, man, why did I let you by?
Well, Garrett's got pace. He just ended up in the wall twice within a lap. But now he's beginning to pull distance on him again. They were mostly light contacts. As Brad Slaughter Jr. now works over Bronson Stafford once again. And they're drag racing down the front stretch. Who's going to give into turn 1? Not the 61 truck. He dives in pretty deep.
Oh, the 8 didn't give as well. He's been working over Bronson Stafford, but he has not gotten enough of a run to get by him. I'm sure he's building frustrated, but on one hand, it's only lap 30, but on the other hand, Brad Slaughter Jr. is probably already thinking, it's already lap 30, I've got to go. Not as long as a race as last night.
Dean Thompson spun on the front straightaway. Here's what happened. Oh, he got spun by the 43.
Wow.
And got into the wall. Have another look at that, maybe from high above. Does he come off the wall? I think
he's coming down a little bit.
I think 43 definitely had a piece in that as well. That's Charles Kaneda.
Sure.
And, I mean, track's wider than that, so coming down a little bit maybe, but takes 2 to tango there, and Dean Thompson gets turned around. We stay green.
Yeah, Dean came down to try blocking, but Charles didn't really cut him a break.
No.
I think they had been battling for a while. I think Charles Kaneda probably just thought, I'm pretty much done with this battle. I've had enough, as he gets away with it, but Dean Thompson continues. Curhan again in the wall. He is giving these guys a little bit too much room into turn 1. That's at least the second time I've seen that. Works for Justin Munsell. He gets by.
Yeah, the Fazekas truck's not going the right direction for the most part, getting into the wall and having some mistakes that are definitely hurting early. We're a quarter of the way through this race already. It's going by pretty quickly. And closing in potentially on pit stops. Maybe they're going to try to make it to lap number 60. The window maybe is a little bit beyond that, 55 to 60. Could you make it to halfway? Maybe. I don't think I'd be confident in that without a yellow flag before then.
Yeah, Blaine Harrison, Devin Schillenberg are the retirements right now, but it's going to be tough, I think. It was tough to make it to that in a cup tank. The cup cars have more fuel. I think if you can stretch it even a little bit, you're going to try to make it to that lap number 60. But it also comes into play with the amount of tire wear we're seeing. They're already 2 seconds down on their fastest times.
Oh, and the wall ahead is Ted Wade. And they're crashing.
There we go.
That was a big crash there. But they keep it straight, and here comes Tom Bourne and others.
Look out, Michael Munsell. I don't know how they sorted that out, but that was a crash that did not bring out a yellow. Wow, that was huge.
Yeah, that was they're stacking up now out of turn 4. We'll go back and look at it in a little bit. This makes me worried as they come off turn 4, side by each. Down the front stretch, it's Waterworth, Joseph R. Jones, Danny Ware, Justin Anasogak.
Oh my goodness, that's about as scary as it can get. 2x2. This is not Daytona or Talladega. It cannot be doing that, but they're gonna do it at a turn number 2. Senesak in the wall. Senesak hit it, and Sogek had to check up. How in the world have they not brought out a yellow with this? And they're still gonna be 2x2.
Yeah, kept it straight somehow. Just kind of packed it in the concrete and kept rolling. Now the 22 Dustin Scruggs joins the party.
I don't think it's a party he wants to join.
No.
At all. Oh, Senesak into a wall down the straightaway. Hannah Sogek can only check up for him as he dives under him. Senesak gives him room bottom. They almost made contact. This is still not sorted out at all.
Still working out. Now we have a moment to go back and see what happened here as Tom Bourne drives right on by and Munsell and others. That was really close, really dicey stuff.
Yeah, that could have been much worse than the turn number 3, but they at least sorted it out after Ted Wade hit the wall and caused that stack up. Stack up's not really done yet. Ted Wade gives way to A.J. Roderick, but Tom Bourne, Brad Slaughter Jr., the Slaughter seems to be getting away from it, but Tom Bourne and Shane Therian, I think they're at a difference here of who's faster.
Mason Kane up high. Travis Beckner to the bottom as they get by Dean Thompson, who's a lap down after he got turned around a little while ago. Tom Bourne side by side with Shane Therian in the 83.
Yeah, Therian, I think, is faster, and he's trying to force the issue, but Tom Bourne's not letting him go easy. It's so hard to hold the bottom with momentum to stay under someone. Therian couldn't do it. He'll have to gear up for another run. You can see how much faster he is through the corner. He just gets all that time back.
Here comes Therian. And drives in hard into turn 3.
That's a slide job right there, and he's going to make it work.
My cat has put his jaw around my arm, and it has been there for 2 laps.
That is thrilling news.
Clenched on my arm. It is hurting me.
Don't bring your animals to the virtual track, let alone the real track.
Okay, he finally let go. All right, we're good.
Sounded like it was a forceful let go, though.
Yes.
It didn't seem like it was his decision.
No.
Here goes Munsell. He'll get by Bourne as well.
And Waterworth past Ted Wade, who's got both sides of that truck pretty torn up after the contact a couple laps ago.
Yeah, torn up is the right word to use it. One person who's torn up in another way. Someone in the wall out of 2. Big hit. Justin Michael from 4th. Knocked the wall down through turn 2.
Well, let us have a look at how that had precipitated. He was already way high out of line. And just, oh wow,
yeah.
He got into that really good, Connor.
Yeah, he did. That's going to be hard damage. It almost looked like the rear end came out. Is that Brad Slaughter Jr. pitting? I think it is, but you can see the rear end swapping out. Whoa, Jacob Bell as well. No, that's Bryce Senesak, excuse me. But you can see the rear end out on the 87. That's what put him up there.
And it looks like we have our first takers to pit lane. Going to split this race into 3 equal sections and make it a 2-stop race. I think that's a pretty safe call, but we'll see what everyone else does. Danny Ware underneath Curhan for position and bring Cameron Hearn back into the mix.
Yeah, Curhan continues to fall. I was talking about who's tearing up the track in a good way. It's really James Scioli. 3-second lead over David Weishart at this point. And Alan Elwood is putting down good times, but they're still not enough to get to the 7 right now. I think we're going to, I don't know if we're going to see anyone try a 1-stop. I did not expect people to pit on lap 40, but with the tire wear as high as it is, 2 seconds off on our fast times, not too surprising to see people try to get the fresh rubber early.
Well, it's going to force everyone else to pit lane now. The fact that we've had a lot of drivers start to come.
Here comes Brad Slaughter.
About a half dozen of them or so, and I think that number is going to pick up in the next couple of laps. And pit lane here is so hard to get onto from race pace. You have to be so ginger slowing down off the racetrack to make sure that you get down to pit lane.
Oh, it's the scariest one for sure. I think it's even scarier than Dover because you have to get down so early, but you're also going to, if you enter early, you're going to be on the complete flat for so long. It's very easy to mess it up. Weishart, however, took the alternate strategy. He stayed on the banking as long as he could, then cut it dead left right before that orange cone. So 2 different ways you can enter pit lane here, and they're almost identical, which is funny enough. Noting
that Cameron Hearn has the clutch in turns 3 and 4, Connor, potentially saving some fuel to try to make that 1-stop strategy work.
It's worth it for sure, but with that damage being down the order a little bit, it's going to be hard to keep pace with the guys on the 2-stop who are already ahead of them, so we'll see how that works out. More pitters this time. Tom Bourne, Joseph Jones came down. The leader Scioli's in this time.
James Scioli so far this race has led 43 laps. and comes in with a 3-second lead over position at number 2.
This is bringing everyone in. Roderick's in, Danny Ware, a number of drivers behind Skylerly. Elwood came in, Wineland.
I just wonder if Cameron Hearn realizes that in his current position with the way the race is going, you're going to get a lot of green flag running, and you're not going to run up there and drive past everybody again with the damage that you've got, so why not try something different? I'm all for this for Cameron Hearn.
I agree as well. I think it is a good decision when you're kind of down on your luck and you haven't had much go your way down the order a little bit. You know you're probably not going to make a positions doing what everyone else does, so why not try something different? Especially, I believe, with a win already in his bank. I think, he won a week ago, so he's already got a win at his disposal. There's no reason not to try this. Yeah,
I got the win at North Wilkesboro, which locks him into the playoffs and allows you to be a bit more aggressive with some of your calls. Justin, Michael, and really the rest of the top 10 still have yet to pit. Now Michael has a 1.7-second lead, but he's got some fairly significant right side damage from his contact with the wall a couple laps ago in turn 2.
Yeah, he might have been one that was going to take the 2-stop, but when he had knocked the wall down, he might have had to change in strategy. It's very possible he was going to stay on the strategy anyways, but I'd also wouldn't put it past him to kind of switch it up a little bit after the contact and trying something different. It's not only about just trying to make it on one less stop, it's also potentially a lot of drivers trying to catch a caution as Mason Kane's going to come in behind the 87.
Working away towards lap number 50, Dustin Scruggs in the 22. Chasing down Michael Curhan here. Scruggs with that Dave Blaney throwback looking good. Always loved the cat colors on the what was then the Dodges back in the day.
Speaking of Dodge, there goes Brad Slaughter's Dodge throwback. He went by. That's a difference tires make here, and it's so difficult to navigate around someone on older tires because there's just no room to do it, and it's so easy to catch them at the wrong points, as Slaughter Jr. kind of did right there with Cameron Hearn, but he's able to navigate quite nicely.
Into turn 3 now as we work our way towards lap number 50. And now we're getting into the stage of the race where you're clicking off laps. The strategy components start to come into effect. Scioli is still ahead of David Weishart by 2.8 seconds even after the pit stop, and he pitted a lap later, so that will work out to Scioli's advantage in the Rick's Hot Sauce truck. But Weishart, Elwood, Wineland, and Brad Slaughter Jr. are in a pretty good spot if we were to get a caution, which we have not gotten one yet tonight.
Ooh, it almost 3 wide into 3. Mason Kane came off pit road in a bad place for Joseph Jones. That is going to get dicey. It's got to be careful getting back on the track. If you see a battle, kind of got to make sure you're not in the way of it. But I think part of that was Ryan Swan being on older tires as well.
So 50 laps complete next time by. We've had a couple SimRap Market replays tonight. Race fans, be sure to visit simrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. That's simrapmarket.com.
Travis Beckner was one of those who had stayed out. He just pit. Paul Irvin is hanging on by a thread. Also, only a thread puts him you can only put a piece of paper between him and the wall there. That was exceptionally tight, but still got some drivers trying to stick out there, but other drivers like Beckner kind of bailing out, and bailing out is not a really good call at this point. Going 50 laps, it puts you in between both strategies. It is probably worst case scenario for Beckner and others who have done that.
On board again with Michael Curhan, who runs inside the top 5, one of the drivers that has yet to pit. All they need to do is go 8 more laps, and they're on that one-stop strategy. But how much have they had to save to make that even a close mathematical possibility? And how much time are they losing while doing it? That's the math that they're all trying to figure out right now.
Well, we'll see right now. Justin Michael put down a 31.89 last time by. James Scarley ran at a 30.67. Actually, he was getting through traffic at that point, so a better lap here, 29.82. So probably about 2 seconds difference really right now per lap. It's going to come down. It's going to be tough to see whether or not one stop erases that. That's going to be tough to kind of overcome. Look at this mess out of turn 4.
Yeah, it is a mess out of turn 4. That is for sure. Cameron Hearn's right in the middle of all of it in that number 4 truck on that aggressive strategy call, but working his way by at the moment is A.J. Roderick in the number 56, who leaves them for dead, leaving turn 2.
I don't know how you're keeping such a calm voice. Look at this. This is unbelievable. There's no way this can last. This is literally looking like a super speedway now.
Oh, there it is. The 24 gets turned. And the 5 of Dean Thompson, somehow
Oh my gosh,
they have
no way.
saved it. That is unbelievable. Are you kidding me?
It's not over yet. They're 3 wide. Still, they're 4 wide almost into turn number 1. Into turn 1, that can't work. Waterworth's loose. Oh my goodness, you gotta be joking.
And I mean, for all that being said, 24 was also pretty chill and relaxed. As here comes the 093 across into turn 3.
I can't even believe how that wasn't a yellow. As who's that diving onto the pits? That's Dean Thompson, I think, bailing out after that incident, or maybe calling it a night. Beckner on new tires, just trying to dive past all of this. But this is definitely what can happen when you have old tires versus new tires, and you get one gaggle like that, and you can absolutely throw the balance of the race off.
Now they were they 4 wide for a second? Yes, they were. That is unbelievable. Nice work, guys. We're still green. 55 laps in.
I don't think I've ever seen 4 wide at Darlington until that. It was brief, but it was something
I've seen
else.
it 4 wide at Darlington, but one car was upside down and the other was in the fence. And then 2 more got away with it, but I've never seen all 4 come out the other side.
And they barely did. They somehow didn't even make contact, which is the most surprising part of all that. And meanwhile, I'm sure Justin Michael's paying attention to that and probably maybe seeing it and thinking, please, let's get a yellow, but it wasn't the case. He's going to dive down this time. He comes up about 4 laps short of halfway. That is not going to go over well.
No, 4 laps is a little too many laps to have to save, because it'll be an additional 4 on the back end of the race. That's 8 laps total. But for those that are still trying the strategy, Justin Michael, as you mentioned, gave up. Cameron Hurd's still on it. Justin Munsell is still on it. Everyone else, other than Anna Sogak, Kurhan, Scruggs, and Irvin, have already pit.
Scioli's already under, 8 seconds behind Justin Munsell. So you can tell that difference is not – it's going to be pretty tough, I think, for the 6 to make this work and stay ahead of the 7. But it's definitely worth trying. If you don't catch a yellow before your pit stop, maybe you'll catch it after the 7's pit stop and get track position. So
now we're in an interesting place, though, because, you only need to go 2 more laps for this strategy to work. And lap times-wise, he's not really that far off of anybody in particular. 32 flat is slow, but it's not the slowest that anyone's running. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't hate it. We'll see how it pans out. If he's got a couple others that are going to do it, Cameron Hearn and Zogak, Scruggs, Kurhan. Oh, here comes Hearn to pit lane. And he was clutching in for quite some time. So how long is it going to be before Justin Munsell goes as well?
It can't be more than 60. I think if he makes it, it's going to be on the number. As we'll see here, as he's very, very slow. You're 1 and 2, letting drivers by on his outside. He's making sure he's low. Definitely coming in this time.
I think he's out of fuel. It's sputtering.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he's going to have a slow trickle down pit road. He's the 15th stall, so he's got a while to go. So he better not be fully out. He's got to make it all the way down there. As trying to see, Dustin Scruggs has spun at the bottom of turn 3. I think he was pitting as well.
22 truck goes around. Here's a look at it. And yeah, he was just coming down to pit road. You got out of whack on him. Oh, he got the wall hard.
Wow, that was a harder hit than I thought. Yeah, it looks like maybe the transition got him loose. That or maybe a low brake bias got him. But that is a hard hit and a lot of damage.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see how it affects his evening. But not going to help, I can tell you that. Scioli retakes the lead as we hit the halfway point of this race. And Munsell was the closest of anybody, but was still 1 lap short, so he's going to have to save an additional lap on that second run. It could work, but it's going to be gutsy.
I think he's going to need a yellow. I just don't see him beating the 7. He might beat a few. He still might get a good finish, but he's definitely not going to. I don't think he's going to win the race doing this. I think what he's got to hope for is he's got to get some sort of yellow after the 2 stoppers pit.
Yeah, maybe. Here's the problem, though, is if you get that caution, you're gonna be forced to pit. So it's almost like he was 1 lap short. I'd almost rather just have it go green and just have to save that extra lap of fuel. I mean, it's a known value now. I think the caution would get you out of that strategy.
Oh, crash! There it is, Philip York. We might get it. He's going to come back into traffic on the front straightaway, and there's the caution, and that could not have come out at a worse time for Justin Munsell.
Wow, okay. Caution number 1, lap number 62. Philip York in the 97 with some fairly sizable damage. Let's see what happened to him. Bring out our first yellow of the night. Facing the 16 of Bourne. Goes to go to the outside here. Is there a bit of contact? No, he just gets
97
loose.
got loose.
Yeah. Oh, man, he pile drove that wall.
A good job, everyone else just getting by. They had a lane to the outside. Justin Michael, notably, he just got by James Schuyler to get his lap back. Look at that, how hard of a hit that was. It launches him back into traffic. I've seen a lot of times when a wall kind of pushes you back into traffic, a big crash can happen, but luckily just the one truck, and Bourne kind of got away unscathed, surprisingly.
Yeah, actually, Bourne did a pretty good job not getting collected in this more, because it'd be really easy to end up getting hooked with the 97, but he jumped on the brakes and kind of spun the 97 more aggressively and made sure he got out of it in one piece at least, just a little bit of right side damage, and he will come back down to pit lane. So now we can all make it from here. You'd have to imagine, wouldn't you just come right back down pit lane? That's what the leaders are doing.
I assume that's what Justin Michael will do. We'll see here. Like I said, he had literally just gotten his lap back after pitting 6 laps ago, and he will take a set here. So unfortunately, doesn't get much of an advantage. In fact, loses all his track position, but at the very least, he's not stuck a lap down like Justin Munsell is going to be, I believe.
Yeah, and that stinks for Justin Munsell because, again, if that had happened a little bit, or is he going to get the wave around it?
He will get the wave, but he will still be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of other drivers taking the wave with him as well.
So, first caution at the halfway point of this race. And it gives us a moment to check back in with Rick's Hot Sauce truck. Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. You ever say a word and you're trying to figure out why that word is said the way it is? Sauce is a word that I'm struggling with right now.
But how else would you say a souse?
No, I was Rick's Hot Sauce. I just was like a long
Very
os,
refined.
you know?
It's the beef of the word. That's what makes it the word. That's just what makes it a good word to say.
Just struggling with that.
I've been stuttering all night. What are you talking about struggling? I've been stuttering every sentence I say.
Well, I'm still recovering from my wild weekend at Circuit of the Americas. For those that didn't know, I was back on TV, sort of, kind of, this weekend. Tape delayed on CBS Sports. But if you'd like to see me in action in a real-world race series, head over to GT World and pull out the most recent races from Circuit of the Americas with the Toyota GR Cup North America. Was on that broadcast with fellow iRacing commentator DJ Clark. I even got a comment about iRacing's damage in there at one point in the middle of race number 2. So GT World and the Toyota GR Cup North America. That was a blast to be a part of that and share the headset of Calvin Fish, one of my all-time announcing heroes, and spend some time in the sun. My arms are sunburned very badly, and they are peeling. And I've been peeling sunburnt skin is very satisfying to me, but it's not burned badly enough where it's coming off in big sheets. It's just like little pieces. And I wish it was coming off in big sheets because it's a lot more satisfying that way.
Yeah, I have the same issue right now. This is from Darlington, and that was over a week ago, and I'm still peeling from that. So I clearly need to learn how to apply sunscreen because I tried my best, and it did not work, especially on for some reason, both the insides of my arms, both the inside of my left and inside of my right wrist, which I don't understand how that makes sense.
Well,
that's how it happened.
I didn't apply sunscreen, so I got exactly what I deserved.
Yeah, you did. You deserved all of that.
And then by the time I put any on, it was far too late. So there's that. But I had a good time. I had a good time. Circuit of the Americas, cool track. Been there a handful of times now. And next on my real-world calendar is Grid Life Midwest. Next weekend, live grassroots racing on the Grid Life channel. And then 2 weeks after will be the Fanatec GT World Challenge America powered by AWS weekend at Virginia International Raceway. I'll be headed there to call some more GR Cup action and be on trackside PA for the other 4 SRO America Series and for the Area Truck Series. We're going back green, lap number 67 of 120. Here we go. Good clean restart, working lap 68 now. And Tom Bourne, who was involved in that crash, sweeps to the inside of Garrett Grant. He will make that pass. Big commitment into turn 1.
Big commitment and also a lot of respect showed. Garrett Grant, I think, knows he's a tiny bit faster, just lets him go. The 16.
Slide. The 8 of Brad Slaughter Jr. out of turn 2. Gathered it up, but that was a big moment.
And it lost Tom Bourne the position he just gained. Mason Kane's going to try to take advantage too, but wow, that was a good job by the 8 to collect that. That looked like it was going to be deadly. Side by side out of 4 is tough. I think Bourne's going to have enough of a run as they gang up on Garrett Grant on the bottom.
Garrett Grant's going to slot ahead of Mason Kane in the number 31, who has had an interesting evening, as high as 2nd, as low as 24th, settled into a nice even 7th right now. As behind him, a slide in the 43, and Kanita's going to go around for a spin.
And this might not bring out the yellow. He's into it. That is Senesac as well. That will not bring out a yellow.
He is on the apron and beginning to roll again. Here's what happened. It was alongside Senesac out of turn number 2. Senesac just gets up into the 43 and turns him around. Look at who is that on the bottom of the racetrack? Holy cow.
Oh my goodness.
Did you see that?
Munsell. How did he do that? That was unbelievable. First the save and then the avoidance. Watch this. Amazing save, but then he's got a crash to avoid.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. That was good driving right there.
That was wild.
Wow. I don't know what else to say, just wow. It's a shame for those two trucks. 09 and 43 are pretty much likely done, definitely out of contention, but at the very least we do keep it green once again.
We sure do. Eric Wineland, by the way, up to 3rd. He's had a quietly very solid evening. Kind of forgot about him in the middle of all those pit stop sequences, but he has had pace tonight. Very good pace, in fact. And now is feeling some pressure from Alan Elwood in the 10.
I think Elwood has potential to get to the top 3 and even get 2nd away from Weishart, but he did not start high up enough to take advantage of those two. He started 6th, and he hasn't really, the pace has been so even between these 4 that he just hasn't been able to make the passes when he needs to. But it looks like he's a little bit faster than Wineland, just needs to find a way around as Weishart tries to put pressure on Sky Early, but I think the 7th's pretty cool right now, even though he's got South Beach heat on this truck.
Joseph Dar Jones on the outside, Brad Slaughter Jr. on the inside. That's for 11th. But plenty of fights all over the racetrack here as we work lap 73. And a little bit of a tight grouping here in the first corner. Hard to get visibility as well, Connor, when you're so close. It's hard just to see what's in front of you, and this time it's a slide. The 49 of Danny Ware, he collects it. And Brad Slaughter Jr. goes to the inside. What a save there.
Yeah, that was wild as well. Ware hit the wall. Nowhere for Jones to go, but somehow they gather it up again as the 49 slots in right in front of, I believe, Cameron Hearn, who took the wave around at Slaughter. That's what one slide can do, puts you back there where it can happen to you again, and it's lost him a ton of track position.
I will say the saves tonight have been excellent. We should have, could have, would have been under yellow a few more times had it not been for the drivers having very quick reactions this evening. How hot are the tires under the 49 truck right now, though? He is definitely going to feel the effects of that for a couple of laps.
Won't be too bad through turn 3. Might feel it on the exit of turn 4, but turns 1 and 2 where you kind of have to be planted on new tires, that's where he's going to feel it the most. He's in the wall again. Hearn's just going to let Slaughter by, just trying to avoid potential chaos.
Out front, James Scioli has been the dominant truck. Does anybody have anything for him?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think he's going to need something to happen to him. Strategy has to come into play for something to get by this 7 truck right now. He just looks so sharp. He's able to maintain on the short run. He's just able to gap everyone on the long run. As you can see him already putting some time on the 29.
And David Weishart has been quietly lingering in 2nd place for most of the evening. And in the right place is at the right time, though. If we get a late race yellow, I can see the 29 taking advantage. And Alan Elwood continues to creep forward in that number 10 just behind the 29 of Weishart.
Yeah, he did get by Eric Wineland. I don't know if we noted that, but 21 starting to fall off these top 3 a little bit. And I think that pace that Elwood had, I believe, potentially to pass the 29, he's showing right now and trying to mount the charge as David Weishart kind of falls off the leader just a little bit as Elwood maybe pushing a little bit harder right now.
And we could go to the end all the way on fuel from here. That's maybe a little bit of a save, but the run to the end is shorter than that run to the initial caution flag. And we were probably about 10 laps after most of the field had come to pit lane. So I'd imagine We could go to the end. I don't think we will. I think we're going to get at least one more yellow to bunch things back up, and that will very much be a relief to drivers if we were to get it, getting themselves some fresh shoes on for the last little bit of the race. But we're closing in quickly on 50 laps to go, and those tick by pretty quick here.
Yeah, they tick by pretty quickly, but if we get one yellow, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that we're going to get more. Cautions breed cautions, especially late in these races, and at a track like Darlington, I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen once again, but it's all a matter of maybe getting that caution. We could have had one down the back straightaway, as these guys got so spread out because of multiple incidents that didn't bring out a yellow. It's going to be a little bit harder to bring that out now.
How about Jacob Bell up to 12th place? It has been a bad start, but a good middle portion of this race for Jacob. Didn't qualify very well at all, and now is up inside the top 15, looking for 11th. I have to feel like the momentum's going the right direction here this late in the race.
Yeah, definitely getting up to the front when it matters the most. I think he has a little bit more pace over the 93, who has front end damage. And you can see him not getting the nose pointed in the middle of 3 and 4. He goes up the track. Jacob Bell takes a look. I think he does have more pace. I think he can fight for a top 10. Once again, catching's one thing, passing's another. Hear it all the time, but you'll hear it a lot more at a track like this.
Good middle run here through the corner, the 77, and Brad Slaughter Jr. had the huge moment on the restart. Is now approaching this group. He's got a little bit more pace even than the 77, the Florida State Builders truck. Look at the run he's building here on corner exit Connor. Look at that.
Wow. But will he be able to do anything? He will pull to the inside. I think, yeah, Jacob Bell, I was about to say, I think he just gives it to him, and he does. Danny Ware, same thing. He gets by Justin Michael. Michael kind of just lays over there, and now once Brad Slaughter gets by Jones, he'll have a little bit more clean track to Garrett Grant. It's a stack-up attitude.
Yeah, Brad Slaughter Jr. is looking very quick right now, only 2/10.
Oh, they hit into a wall, Joseph Jones.
Ooh.
Oh, look out. Oh, he almost went back into traffic. That was odd. Into the corner they doored.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit, that contact looked funky, like it was net Cody or something, but I'm sure they'll disagree on it.
Yeah, they won't agree on it. Yeah, they almost like they hit before the corner and it threw them off. I don't really know if I blame that on either driver.
Yeah, I mean, both were kind of at center track, so which one do you blame? Guy on the inside or guy on the outside? Preferred lane is kind of a trick question here.
Blame the guy who built the track.
Yeah, the preferred lane is on the apron.
Yeah, why wasn't he running down there is what the 93 is going to think.
Why aren't you running up against the wall if you're the 93?
There's not even only two stories. There's usually a number of stories.
Well, there's usually guy A's story, guy B's story, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle typically.
Yeah, there's at least 2.5, I would say, 2.5 stories per incident. The half is truth.
Ryan Olson's on pit lane here in that number 75. Kind of sticking to the two-stop strategy, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think he was one of those ones, took the wave, I think. He pit on lap 42, so could be a strategy thing, could be calling tonight, but he is getting tires, so a little odd. But, Bell's in the wall, that of 2.
Yeah, well, Danny Ware. Danny Ware, did he come to the inside here? Bell just scraped it a little bit. Took a little real estate off the right side of the Florida State 77. They're not done yet, though. He's going to throttle back up around the outside.
Oh, they almost touched. He had to lift. I think he saw the 49 coming up, and he did not want to put him in the wall, so smart on Bell just to let him go for the time being. Justin
Munsell avoided that big wreck on the restart a little while ago, and now he's running down Joseph R. Jones for 15th. Here he comes.
Going to get to the bottom here. I don't think Jones has much to fight with at this point in the run with how much front end damage he's gotten, and also the right side damage as well. You see the 6 just so much better on exit at this point.
But closing in, we are now 25, 35, 45? Where are we at? 15, 35 laps to go.
There you go.
Just trying to do the math in my head. And we're down to now about 17 minutes of racing remaining. So I think at this stage, if you wanted to pit one more time, if you wanted to get all the good out of the tires, you'd have to pit in the next 10 laps or so. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to stay out to the end. It's about a 50-ish lap, 50 to 55 lap run to the end, and we saw drivers be able to do that pretty easily on the first run. So I'd expect that to be the case here as well. But David Weishart, last time by, was a hair quicker than James Scioli.
A hair quicker. I'm almost wondering if Skyler is going to have to conserve a little bit, because we really only saw, what, 1 or 2 guys even get close to 60 laps, and we're going to get a little shorter than that on this run for sure, but you might have to save just that little bit. Joseph Jones came down to pit lane, and also those wave around cars, a lot of wave around trucks, a lot of those guys are going to have to pit one more time regardless.
Will they break and come on down at lap 90 to 95, or will they try to run to the end here from Area Truck Series Racing at Darlington Raceway? What's coming up next on the calendar? Well, next week we're going to head to, actually we got a couple weeks off in the Area Series before we head to Martinsville on June 13th. Then June 20th we'll head to Atlanta. But next, when we come back for the Cup Series, we'll be headed to Pocono. The Tricky Triangle is up next. So Bristol, Darlington, Pocono. That's a challenging trio of tracks to have nose to tail. And then we go to Atlanta on June 29th for the Cup Series, and then Road America and Mosport for the week of June 26th through 29th. I'm very excited to go road racing once again, and hopefully I'll be around to do the broadcast this time instead of from my bedroom on a laptop like I was for Watkins Glen.
We'll be hoping to at least challenge James in one of those races.
Yes. Mosport with the trucks. What a fantastic combination that is. Just finished out the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada at Mosport last night, and it's such a thrilling racetrack. The speeds are so high. The consequences are so high. It's a great place for a season finale, if you ask me, but maybe not for a stock car series.
I think a stock car series, you'll definitely, I think, have some fights afterwards for a stock car series then there. Even the Pinty series gets physical there. We're talking about that during that broadcast yesterday, and it is definitely one of the best tracks for the trucks to go to. I'm upset they don't go there anymore, because it seemed like every year they went there had a classic finish, except for maybe one. Even then, the racing, regardless of what the final lap, what happens on the final lap, the racing is just outstanding.
Well, that last corner is designed for calamity. That sweeping left into a very tight right with a big tall curb on the inside. It just opens up the door for big dives. In many ways, it's similar to these corners where the straightaways are wide and the corners are narrow, and you got to commit to it. If you don't commit, you're both going to crash, and it's fun to watch for sure.
This battle's fun to watch. Beckner and Slaughter going back and forth as they almost touched there. I think Beckner's actually just going to give it up this time. Let's see, he looks for the crossover. Nope, he'll just give it to him. That's for 9th as Slaughter continues his return to the front after his slide. He's got a ways up the way. Well, not a ways, but about a second to A.J. Roger. And
Travis Beckner has had a pretty decent night, as high as 2nd, as low as 25th, but rides 10th right now. I think he would like a little bit more out of it tonight, but the pace just doesn't seem to be quite there.
Justin Munsell just got past another Justin Michael. That was for 14th place, as it's going to be another position up for the number 6. I believe another driver, he should be able to go the rest of the way, but the latest one to pit trying to one-stop, so he has a little more ways to go, a little more to save maybe than Scioli, so it's going to be tough for him, but I think he's going to be able to pull it off.
All the while out front, James Scioli dominating this race, 0.7 of a second advantage. And as far as the championship is concerned, he's got 2 wins on the season. That's more than anybody else. We knew that. He's got 6 starts, and 3 of which are top 5s, 4 of which are top 10s. He has been one of the most consistent drivers on the season, and a 3rd win would certainly solidify him as the front runner if that wasn't obvious already.
Yeah, right now he's looking to be the front runner in 2 of our 3 area series. He's getting it done on the Pro Series side of things as well, so he has a very good chance to really compete for every single championship this season. Definitely, he has the win in Cup, but it's probably funny to say maybe his weakest series, even though he's still going to be in the championship hunt. He has a real chance to get all 3 done this season, and it is definitely looking like the trucks could be making the trucks his strong suit, because he is so dominant tonight, and it's not the only race he's been dominant this season.
25 laps to go next time by. And battle formulating here for 10th. Garrett Grant is approaching the tailpipes of Travis Beckner, who didn't really fight Brad Slaughter Jr. all that much for 9th. I wonder if that'll be different now with a top 10 on the line.
We figure once we get closer to 20 laps to go, he will fight it a little bit more. I know with 20 to 30 laps to go, I was way slower than drivers ahead of me, and everyone behind me was losing time, and I just couldn't let it by. There's just a point of the race you hit. You know when it is as a driver. You don't really say it, but you know there's a point of the race when letting people go is pretty much over with. You're just going to have to race. And if you wreck, you wreck, because holding someone up here is not something you want to do because they will get impatient.
Danny Ware now applying pressure to the back of the 42, which in turn will probably force Grant to want to get by Beckner a little bit quicker. The hunter becomes the hunted.
Loses Beckner a little bit, so it's really just defense for the 42 at this point, unless the 28 makes a mistake. And you can see how much faster Brad Slaughter Jr. was than Beckner. 4/10 faster last time by. That 8 just kind of rocketed away, and he's already up to AJ Roderick.
Laps are clicking away. This is one of the more intense ones on the racetrack, at least in terms of fights. The 28, the 42, and the 49. Pretty volatile excursion happening back here. And ahead of them, the 56 and the 8. This is getting dicey. AJ Roderick under fire from Brad Slaughter Jr.
They're side by side. I don't think the 56 is anything to fight with. Slaughter gets the position up into the 8th position. Maybe a crossover. I don't think he has momentum for it, but that's position done. Also up ahead, Mason Kane has been pressuring Tom Bourne for the past few laps.
This is getting exciting. And Alan Elwood and Eric Wineland for third. This one could also turn into something a bit more dramatic before the checkered flag.
I thought I thought Elwood would be able to kind of keep pace with the top two, but he fell off much earlier than I thought he would. Now he's back into the clutches of Wineland. And speaking of falling off, I think the 29's finally started to do that. The gap is up to a 1.5 seconds. Not only that, he's got lap traffic in between him and the leader, so that can't be helping either.
Next time by, 20 laps to go. The Grant, Beckner, and Ware battle has fizzled for a moment. But James Scioli, the pace he has had tonight has been exceptional. And he hasn't gotten passed by anyone. He's led, of the 100 that will complete, he has led 86 of them. But the question is, what about those other 15? Well, those were all done on a pit stop and caution sequence. So Scioli really has been the only driver to actually truly lead this race. No one's even gotten close to running him back down.
Yeah, if there wasn't the possibility of a one-stop, he'd be leading every lap. If everyone had the same strategy, I don't think anyone would have led more than maybe 4 laps. I mean, the 7's, completely dominant right now, and he has not been touched for the lead. Even on the short run, he has not had anyone challenge him for the race lead. So even for David Weishart, if we got to restart, you got to wonder if he just takes 2 tires just to get the track position over him, because I don't think he's passed him on track.
Of the 35 starters tonight, we have 27 remaining, so 8 are out. Those 8, Philip York, Charles Canita, Dustin Scruggs, Dean Thompson, Bronson Stafford, Blaine Harrison, Schillingberg, and one more. And everyone else that's running is on the racetrack, and only about 6 trucks that are laps down. That means that there are 21 on the lead lap. Here comes, Garrett Grant and Beckner side by side, and Beckner's in the wall.
Kind of got stuck in it. We've seen people get into the wall down the straightaway and just get stuck to it, and that was another case of that. They lost Beckner a lot of time, but at least fortunately for him, only lost him the 1 position, but now Daniel Ware's back to him.
Ware wasn't able to completely take advantage of that scenario here. Shane Therian, by the way, has hit pit lane with 18 laps to go. Gary Waterworth in the number 12 is working over Mason Kane in the 31, and just behind them is Brad Slaughter Jr., still on a recovery from that big save a little while ago.
He's still on a recovery driver. Now he's got traffic to deal with. It is interesting. Therian is one of those drivers who took the wave around, so guess he could not make it. He hit pretty early. I think he was trying to see. He hit around 45, so definitely was not able to make it, and he pits rather late here. I guess it is.
Continue. Justin Munsell, Jacob Bell. This is for 13th place, and Jacob's going to tuck back in.
Yeah, he didn't even want to potentially fight that at all. Just Michael Cameron Hearn, 2 drivers who took the wave around, 2 of the late hitters, and their nights were looking good, or at least Michael's was. In the wall up ahead. Who was that? Was that 93? Yep. He's been on a struggle after he got his first bit of damage, but these 2 were looking good. Top 5, top 10 cars. He's in the wall again, but bad yellow, especially for the 87, just made him come from behind, as he's at least up to the 14th position now.
Oh boy,
Oh, no,
Mason
15.
Kane, Waterworth, and Brad Slaughter in a 3-horse race for
Oh, no.
6th place. That got very dicey, and throw Shane Therian in there. Shane's down a couple laps, but still in this mix.
But fresher tires, so he'll fly through these guys. Don't show James Skyler this. He does not want to see this. He doesn't want to see 3 wide out of turn 4, but the fresh tires allow the 83 to do that. They're going to stay 3 wide. Who's going to give? I think Slaughter has no choice here.
That was impressive, even on fresh tires, for the 83 to stick to the bottom in 3 and 4. Did not stick in 1 and 2, though, Connor.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't stick there. I guess he just didn't have momentum, but it's going to kill Brad Slaughter Jr.'s run off the corner. And Therian's going to really draw the ire of the 8 there.
Laps winding down, everyone trying to make their strategies work out. With the timing of the yellow, it really just played out to perfection that most of the field would be able to go to the end without any more dramas.
Here he gets by Bourne there, who's kind of quietly in the 5th position. And Waterworth has not been able to close in. How about Gary Waterworth, though? He's one of the, knock on wood, but he's got one of the cleaner trucks out there and is probably the best run I've seen him have in the truck series all season, all the way up from 24th, too.
Mason Kane was in the wall out of 2, and Grant went on by. He was going to bring the 56 of A.J. Roderick, but you bring up the point of Gary Waterworth, 24th place start, 6th place running. I'm sure he'd love a top 5 after such a successful night.
He might have a shot at it because of theory, and he gained a lot of time, so he might have one last chance to get up there, but got to be careful not to overstep your boundaries, especially late on, and especially when you have Brad Slaughter Jr., who I think is still faster than him.
And back to the 3rd place fight, Alan Elwood and Eric Wineland. This is getting very serious very quickly.
It almost looks like Wineland's kind of has been stuck, but he got such a good run out of turn 4. He'll have the look to the bottom. 10 won't give it to him, though. They're going to be side by side, and watch Shane Therian gain on his fresh tires on these 2 side by side. There might contact. Elwood had no choice but the lift there.
Yeah, and that was smart, I think. Finished 4th or finished 20th and crashed in the wall. I think it was a smart call there, but if he's got the pace to run back by him, he'll run him back down. I just don't think that he will. Mason Kane and Travis Beckner for 10th into turn 3.
Are side by side. Waterworth and Bourne are side by side as well out of turn number 4. 2 great battles to the end here. They almost made contact for the 5th position as they're almost making contact in the back for the 10th position.
Laying it all out on the line here at Darlington Raceway. Position swapping late in this race. Look at Mason Kane, top to bottom elevator move in the background.
Ryan Olson's in the middle of that, holding, into the wall. Hard hit for Olson, and I think Kane hit it even harder. But no one's able to take advantage as they were all kind of checked up by the 75 there.
And Tom Bourne, the cork in the bottle here. Gary Waterworth and Brad Slaughter Jr. This is certainly the hottest fight on the racetrack right now. This 16 car is struggling.
Yeah, 16 struggling, but the 12 is kind of being held up by him. It's letting the 8 get back to him, and it's brought Garrett Grant into it as well. So this is where it's going to happen. If it happens, contact out of 2. Now Slaughter's got the run, but Waterworth to the bottom.
Into turn 3, big lunge there by the 12. Keeps it on the bottom there. Nice clean racing for position for the top 5. And Brad Slaughter Jr. has this all out. The windshield, that was a big hit for Tom Bourne.
Yeah, that was what he didn't need. He's going to lose all those positions, and now it's going to bring A.J. Roderick to him. He might lose more. Only 2 points behind the 7 coming in tonight, but that gap, regardless of where he finishes, was going to grow tonight. But don't want to give up too many points.
Down the back straightaway there. Wow, the 56. And the 28's in the wall. And here comes the 32 of Ted Wade. He's many laps down, but has a look at Danny Ware. And Travis Beckner tucks back into 11th.
It seems like turn 2 is becoming more of a trouble spot the later we get into this race. Everyone's overstepping at that corner specifically, and that was another big whack by the 28. I don't know if there's I don't know how many clean trucks there are left that don't have Darlington stripe. The only one might be Scioli and David Weishart.
And look at this, Waterworth feeling pressure now from Brad Slaughter Jr.
Wow.
This is for a top 5 spot. The 8 sideways out of turn 2 in the background. Tom Bourne under fire from Roderick.
Waterworth was sideways as well. They're giving it everything they got right now, coming to 6 laps to go this time by. As Ted Wade's kind of just following these 2 behind. I think he's going to push who he wants to at this point, as it looks like he's going to push to 56. He's going to want him to go. Got to be careful pushing. Bumpers don't line up. It's also a madhouse behind Mason Kane.
Yeah, Roderick got by the 16. He had to get him gone. Oh, there another's going 37. And the one in the wall of Ryan Swan. Wow. He got pile driven into the fence. But we all keep it straight. Everybody's in the wall. There goes somebody. Slide and spin. Is that going to bring out the yellow? I can't even find who it is.
Justin Michael, but he kept it straight.
Wow.
Once again, that won't be a yellow. But we're still stacked up. Plenty of battles happening even still after all that.
5 laps to go, and James Scioli, 4.5 seconds clear of everyone, has some traffic on the horizon.
Waterworth's in the wall, so Slaughter's going to hit him. They made contact. How in the world did they not crash that time? Here comes Garrett Grant. He's going to go to the bottom. Doesn't have anything.
This is absolutely exceptional stuff. The truck control on display tonight has been unbelievable. The 8 of Brad Slaughter Jr. clinging to 6th. Garrett Grant wants it, and Waterworth's trying to hang on to 5th. As behind them, Danny Ware, Tom Bourne, and Travis Beckner scrap for 9th place.
And Mason Kane, Justin Muntzler side by side for 12th. There's so many battles happening right now as Jacob Bell got put in the wall by Joseph Jones, and Muntzler's going to get that spot from Mason Kane.
The one of Ryan Swan on fresher tires making a move here. He had just come out of the pits, I believe, when he was involved in that collision. Gary Waterworth in 5th place. He's going to hang on for 3 more laps.
It's a tall task. Slaughter's going to be aggressive. He knows he's faster, but with very little time to make that pass work, he's going to have to get aggressive. But Waterworth cannot get, he can't make a mistake. At this point, it's going to be the worst thing he can do is Paul Irvin down on power there.
Down the back straightaway.
Another hit.
Brad Slaughter Jr. hunting for a 5th. His night started 19th, ran as high as 5th, but he runs P6 now. Waterworth all the way back from 24th place. This is the highest he has run all night long.
We almost had a spin. Jacob Bell's almost crashed, but he did save it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe they've done that. James Scioli's so close to that white flag that he knows he needs to get there.
Well, here he comes. This time, white flag at Darlington Raceway, 1.3 miles left. As the battles continue on, the 12, the 8, the 42.
This is going to go down to the wire. Waterworth just doesn't have the grip out of the corner, but Slaughter does. But what's not helping him is the 42 on his bumper, giving him bad air. Slaughter just cannot have a look in the 1 here, though.
While the 7 is out front tonight.
Oh, he hit him.
Oh, boy. The 7 out front, James Scioli, dominated this race. Checkered flag waves, 105 laps led, 3rd win on the season. James Scioli wins at Darlington, and for a second it's Weishart.
Oh,
3rd it's Wineland, and they're crashing
crash
in turn 3 and 4. The 8 out of control.
Oh my God, they didn't crash, but the 8 got put in the wall. Waterworth still sideways. He's not going to get it. Garrett Grant's going to get it out of all this. Grant, Waterworth, and Slaughter, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
And how about this fight in the final corner? The 77 making his way through all the carnage and chaos. He will bring the truck home in 13th place, just past Munsell, who is slow on the front straightaway. But man, all of that, all the excitement was behind the 7 tonight, but he dominated this one.
Justin Munsell was actually out of fuel, surprisingly, so he didn't make it on fuel, but still gets a finish out of it. But yeah, all the excitement was behind the 7 truck tonight. He had no excitement, but sometimes that's the best thing you can have when you lead all the laps and have no excitement. Nothing can get better than that. Dominant, dominant, dominant.
Well, it will add to his win total and further secure his run into the playoffs and setting himself up for the best run possible. Burnouts and celebration, and there is not a single scratch on that truck. The number 7 survives the track too tough to tame.
That was not really much of a competition tonight for sure. And Scioli putting a stamp on the area truck series so far this season. Definitely the driver to beat for this championship, no doubt.
Here's
We'll believe win number 3.
At the race results, Scioli, Weishart, Wineland. Then Elwood and Grant, your top 5. Garrett Grant getting in front of Waterworth by just 62 thousandths of a second as the 12 slid out of turn number 4. Then Brad Slaughter Jr., Roderick, Ware, and Bourne, the rest of your top 10, Connor.
Yeah, Slaughter Jr. kind of got the short end of a stick there, getting walled into 3 and just could not get the spot there. And then you look who kind of dropped outside the top 10. A lot of drivers who were there the entire night, like Travis Beckner and Mason Kane, just couldn't hold on at the very end. And Justin Munsell, who because he took that wave round, did not have the fuel to go the entire way. He dropped behind Jacob Bell. Also Cameron Hearn, who was in the wall early, 16th. Irvin, 18th. Curhan dropped to 19th, and Joseph Jones at 20th also had his troubles tonight.
And looking down the rest of the order here into Page number 3, Shane Therry in 21st. And then here's some drivers that had some bad nights. Philip York, Kaneda, Dustin Scruggs, all involved in some collisions.
Yeah, Scruggs was high in the points. That won't help him whatsoever. Theory in 21st. He didn't have much go his way, but he just couldn't make it on fuel, and he had that pit stop. Same for Ryan Swan, Ryan Olsen. A lot of guys there who had issues, and also a lot of guys who just didn't have the fuel and didn't play the strategy right. Bryce Senesac was not one of those. He was crashed out early in that final run. And
down the rest of the order, Dean Thompson, Stafford, Harrison, Schillingberg, and I don't even think Logan Hartman took the green flag in that one. So that is your race results. Let's talk to our driver that finished in third with a late pass on Alan Elwood. Eric Lineman brings it home in P3. Eric, welcome to the booth here. P3 tonight. That's got to be a satisfying ending, getting by the 10 late in the going.
Oh, yeah. Kyle, I don't know if you guys clued into it on the broadcast, but we figured something out there in the last 15 laps. I can't thank Ricky Springer enough for the spotting job and the coaching he did right there for me. But yeah, the old 4-3 over here in turn 3 helped get the drive off, because I was just talking to David in our staging area that, man, we burn our right fronts off on that last stint. He did it trying to keep up with James. I did it trying to hang with these guys. And Alan had me too loose on the start of the run, so I figured I'd let him go and get him back later. Well, I got there, could not pass. It was so hard to pass tonight. And yeah, it took shifting to finally be able to get the runs on exit to take advantage of Allen.
Well, it was a good night tonight. Certainly a top 5 for you in the 21. But take a couple weeks off, and then we head to Martinsville, the short track there. Expectations for that, and do you think you can steal a win there?
Well, expectations, I'm hoping that we have an entirely different short track style race than this series has provided. As the competition director, I sincerely hope for that sort of thing. But no, I mean, listen, Kyle, it's great that we were able to have a top 3 tonight. It puts us in a much better points position. We were 8 out coming into tonight, and we should be above the cut after it's all said and done tonight. If we can just keep that consistency, not only through Martinsville, but heading through all the way to Talladega, I think we have a good shot to make the playoffs. So, and I can't thank Slinger Racing Graphics and Sunny South Raceway enough. Slinger Racing Graphics and Ricky Springer put on an incredible paint here on this 21 Ford F-150, and the 89 Neil Bonnet throwback from when he ran it in the Wood Brothers, and he graciously slapped Sunny South Raceway as a sponsor on there to match up pretty nicely, and Go Slow Racing in the team. Unfortunately, JT Poole and Dylan Lee couldn't make it tonight, but still carried the banner for the team tonight, which is making me feel good. Plus, I'm sure you guys got a kick out of the vintage hat tonight that was my dad's. So
nice, looks good. Sharp looking truck, sharp end of the order. Third place for the 21, Eric. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, Kyle. Appreciate it, Connor.
Moving on now to David Weishart, who brings his truck home in second place. And second place was where you spent most of the night, David. Couldn't quite catch James Scioli. No one else could quite catch you. Kind of no man's land this evening, but all the dramas were behind you. Only one caution, so lots of green flag running. Take us through your night and the strategies at play in the first half of the race.
Well, first off, I got to say I'm proud of everybody. This series, as you all know, has had some problems, some issues this season. And this was a breath of fresh air. So congrats to the whole field for keeping it clean and green for the most part. But yeah, I had nothing for James. If this race had come down to a 10-15 lap shootout, I may have had something for him. But he could just save the tire so much better than I could. The clean air is just king here after so many laps once the tires really start to wear. So that last run there, I drove the right front off of it, trying to keep Alan and Eric behind me. And then I don't know what happened to Alan. I don't know if he got in the wall or what happened, but they faded big time. And yeah, just that last run, I let James go ahead so I could get some clean air. And then next thing I know, there's lappers in between us. So I fought dirty there the last run, but you know what? I'll take a P2 going into the end of the break.
And we will have a break. We're coming back to Martinsville, then Atlanta. We're going road racing at Moseport on June 27th. So that's what the month of June holds for us, but the month of May ends with a second place for you, David. Congratulations, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks. I got to give a shout out to Bobby Tens. She's normally races with us tonight. He's told us tonight he's dealing with some health issues, so wish him all the best and good health and everything. He is the reason we have the Matco Tools sponsorship here at DWR. So thanks to them for coming on board last season and this season. And like I said, Bobby, get well.
Thanks, David, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
James Scioli wins his third race of the season en route to the playoffs. James, you're in a good spot right now, and just where the points are. The Rick's Hot Sauce Chevrolet in Victory Lane here at Darlington. And while there was some excellent racing in the behind you that I'm sure you didn't see a ton of in the mirror, you were so far out ahead that you just won this one, leading 105 laps. Domination, and I'm sure some elation tonight for winning that third race.
Yeah, it feels good. What did Larson call it? An old school ass whooping. I think that's what we did here tonight too. Just feels good, especially after yesterday making a stupid mistake and speeding in the pits when I felt like I maybe had a little something for Jake there. So just to come out and qualify on pole and just kind of drive away feels really good. I didn't know how good I was going to be, but I felt like I could just roll the bottom of 3 and 4 a lot better than most, and was just kind of saving the right front a lot better, and got a little bit sketchy with some lap cars at some points. But overall, I mean, it was a pretty worry-free night. I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody that was in the race. I mean, we've had a couple rough weeks lately, and so going into the break here, this was great. Only one yellow. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more.
Yeah, really strong race. Fun one to watch, James. And unfortunately for you tonight, we weren't really watching you a whole lot because there was a lot of 2 and 3 wide and big saves and good moments. But we got the cameras on you at the end to pick up that checkered flag. So congratulations, and we'll see you at the end of the break.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And big thanks to you guys with SimTV. You guys do great work. Big thanks for broadcasting for us, and the admins. I think that they had a fairly easy night tonight, so that's nice too here rolling into the off week. And then rickshotsauce.com. Code Scioli, get you $7 off there. Daniel's Candles, Butt Kicker, Matco Tools, and Chris Sports Cards. The DWR team's been really solid this season so far, so hopefully we can keep that up and keep growing the points leads.
A lot of fun to watch, James. We'll see you next time. Thanks for chatting.
Thanks, guys.
And Connor, way to end this run on a high note here as we head into a couple-week break here for the Area Truck Series. Final thoughts on Darlington. This was a great race. There was lots of big moments in this race. Great saves, great truck control all around as well that made it pretty dynamic to watch.
And it's what the Truck Series needed. I mean, we've had a lot of rough patches so far early on in the season, but to have probably their cleanest race at the hardest track, I think, to have a clean race, that's very important for this series going forward, going into the off week, a big building block to build on. So great job for everyone who participated tonight. And yeah, this track, too tough to tame. It was, even with the lack of yellow, still hard to tame for a lot of the drivers. A lot of drivers with crashes, a lot of drivers with almost maybe single digits without a Darlington stripe. But at the end of the day, like I think James Scalia said, it's an old school ass whooping, and that's what he gave tonight. Led all but 15 laps. No doubt he cemented himself as a championship favorite in the Truck Series, and on Thursday night, he's going to try to do the same thing in the Pro Series.
We go racing one more time this week from Darlington Raceway, the Area Pro Series. We'll see you on Thursday night at 8:40 Eastern for the continuation of that championship, round number 7. We'll see you there.